They were unkillable. Now, one of them wants to end it all. In the Old Guard too, immortality becomes a curse and betrayal is their biggest threat. Stay with me. This story goes deeper than bullets. The movie begins somewhere deep in the middle of the ocean. A group of people on a ship pulls a coffin up from the seabed. A coffin that's been lying there for 500 years. They crack open the faceplate, lift it, and boom. A woman's face emerges from inside the coffin. Gasping for breath, she's been trapped without air for 5 centuries. Among the crew on the ship is someone named Discorn. Who is she? What's her story? And what's the connection between her and the mysterious woman in the coffin? That's a tale we'll uncover soon. But now, we leave this strange crew and shift scenes to Croatia, where a group of immortals, yes, people who cannot die, is on a mission. They're out to capture an arms dealer stockpiling dangerous weapons. These immortals, believe it or not, actually work with the authorities to maintain order. Leading them is Andy, a battle-hardened warrior who, unfortunately, lost her immortality 6 months ago. We'll find out how later. By the way, this film is a sequel. There's a first part to this story. If you're interested, we can cover that next. Back to the mission. They prepare a precise plan to infiltrate the facility. Andy sends Nikki and Joe, 2 other immortals, to distract the guards. They steal cars, honk like mad, and fire into the air. Classic chaos. The guards chase them, clearing the way for Andy, Niall, and Copley, an ex-CIA ally working with the Immortals, to sneak into the building. Inside, Andy and Niall fight their way through around 17 or 18 goons before confronting the main boss, who, amusingly, appears in a shiny red satin pajama suit waving 2 pistols. They take him down and secure the stash of weapons. Copley contacts the police to retrieve the cash. The group returns home, celebrating their victory, joking and relaxing. But just then, Copley gets a call. Turns out, the people they defeated weren't the real threat. The weapons? Meant to be sold to someone else. A photo appears on his phone, and guess who it is? Discorn. Niall recognizes her immediately. Andy asks how she knows her. Niall says, "I don't know her personally, but I've been having these dreams, vivid ones, and this woman is always in them. Inside an old library, taking books. I even saw her hurt the library owner, though I never saw his face clearly." Andy grows worried. We cut to Paris, where another immortal, Sebastian, also known as Booker, is living alone. Once part of Andy's crew, he was exiled after a betrayal. At his home, he finds a surprise guest, Quine, the very woman pulled from the coffin earlier. And yes, Booker knows her. They've both lived hundreds of years. Quine wants to find Andy. They were once soul sisters, deeply bonded. But now Quine feels abandoned. She believes Andy gave up on her. They kidnap Booker. Meanwhile, the Immortals split up. Niall is with Joe and Nikki, while Andy stays with Copley. Back with Quine and Booker, she questions him about Andy's location. He claims he doesn't know, but agrees to help her, seeing that she's genuinely hurt. Quine confesses that during her 500-year imprisonment at the bottom of the sea, she thought only of Andy and how Andy never came for her. Elsewhere, Joe starts acting strange, sneaking off. Nikki follows him and finds out Joe was secretly meeting with Booker. This raises alarms. When they go to Booker's place, he's missing, and there are signs of a struggle. Blood on the floor. They try calling Andy, but her phone is off. Cut to Andy and Copley, visiting an old friend named Yoa, someone Andy's known for 500 years. Andy shares Niall's dream, and Yoa reveals something shocking. He's the man from the dream. He owns that library. And yes, Discorn had come to him. She took specific books, autobiographies written by Yoa about each immortal, with deep details about their lives and weaknesses. Yoa warns them, Discorn is the first immortal in history. Copley objects, saying Andy was the oldest. Yoa insists, no, Discorn is older. Andy asks what she wants. Yoa says, she's collecting knowledge about you all, but whatever she's planning, I fear it won't end well for you. I haven't felt this kind of fear in 1,000 years. They leave to rejoin the team. The others explain that Booker may have been kidnapped. Just then, Joe gets a call from Booker asking to meet. They go, bring him in. And Booker tells Andy the truth. Quine is back and wants to see her. Andy, heartbroken, reads a letter from Quinn and flashes back to 500 years ago, when the two were declared witches and captured. People were terrified of their healing powers. Quine was locked in an iron coffin and thrown into the sea. Andy was only imprisoned and later rescued by Yoa. The letter ends with Quine asking Andy to meet her in Rome. Andy goes. Niall insists on joining her for protection. In the streets of Rome, Andy is haunted by memories of their long friendship. And then, face to face, Quine appears. They stare in disbelief. 500 years. Andy tries to explain. I looked for you. I didn't know where you were. You were at the bottom of the sea. How could I find you? But Quine is cold. If you tried like a real mother would try for her child, you would have found me. Andy asks her to rejoin the team. Quine refuses. Help the same humans who locked me in a coffin and threw me away? Never. She walks off, but Andy follows. Suddenly, the two vanish before Niall's eyes. Meanwhile, Niall spots Discorn and follows her into a church. Inside, they talk. Discorn, we are connected. Niall, how? Why do I dream of you? Discorn, because I'm the first immortal. You're the last. We're bound, the beginning and the end. She shows Niall a matching birthmark. They're truly linked. Discorn vanishes, saying they'll meet again. Niall returns and shares everything. The team is confused. What does it mean to be the first and last immortal? Back with Booker and Yoa. Yoa reveals a legend. If the last immortal wounds another, that immortal loses their immortality. But the immortality doesn't vanish. It can be passed on willingly. Booker becomes intrigued. He spars with Niall, secretly hoping to test the theory. He lets her wound him. The injury doesn't heal. Yoa confirms, you're mortal now. You must pass on your immortality quickly, willingly. Booker keeps it to himself. He goes to Andy, talks like normal. Quietly, perhaps even silently. He wills his immortality to her. Elsewhere, Discorn talks to Quine, who is still burning with rage. What do you want, Quine? She asks. I want them to suffer. I can help with that. Quine, not just the immortals, all humans. The ones who locked me up. Discorn, then let's begin. That night, they launch a surprise attack, seizing a nuclear facility in Indonesia. The next morning, Booker finds Niall training alone. He jokes about sparring, but he's not just there for fun. Yoa sees what Booker is trying to do. He warns him, be careful. You don't have much time. But Booker shrugs it off, quietly preparing for whatever is coming next. And that is where the storm truly begins to brew. Inside the nuclear facility, the team splits up. Joe, Miki, and Niall volunteer to reach the control room. But once they enter, the doors seal shut behind them, and suddenly, nitrogen floods the chamber. They freeze instantly and are sealed inside incapacitated. Outside, Copley is ambushed and overwhelmed by Discorn's forces, while Andy, Niall, and Booker confront the intruders inside. Niall falls from a high platform, crushed under debris. Andy and Booker fight side by side against swarms of hostile fighters. Andy's years of battle sharpen every strike. Booker proves his worth, but takes a fatal wound. In a heroic move, Andy had earlier transferred Booker's immortality to herself. She now harnesses it. Wounds on her body begin healing, but Booker does not. Watching his life slip away, Andy rushes back to free him. He dies in her arms, leaving behind shock and grief. Simultaneously, Niall and Quine clash. Niall accuses Quine of betrayal, aligning with Discorn and selling out Andy. Quine strikes Niall, leaving her mortally wounded, and as she bleeds, she does not heal. Shock grabs Niall. She's lost her immortality. Andy, discovering Quine's betrayal and Niall's fall, enters the last act of confrontation. She rescues Quine, now mortal, from Discorn's grasp, rekindling old bonds. A brutal showdown ensues between Andy and Discorn atop a plane. Discorn, once invincible, reveals she too has become mortal. They fight fiercely. Andy struggles at first, but eventually gains the upper hand. As the plane crashes, both plummet to Earth. Their battle continues in mid-air, a balletic clash of blades and wills. Andy disarms Discorn, but doesn't kill her. Instead, she offers mercy, a sliver of her own forgiveness. Discorn escapes in the wrecked plane. Wounded and mortal, her rule of immortality shattered. In the aftermath, Andy and Quine reunite. Quine, once consumed by vengeance, finds solace in Andy's compassion. Niall, still staggering from her mortality loss, is tended to alongside Quine in Yoa's ancient library. The final scene lingers on the trio, Andy, Niall, and Quine, surrounded by dusty tomes and flickering candlelight. Their mission now clear. Against Discorn, they must protect the world. But this time, no one is truly immortal. They've lived for centuries, but the real battle starts now. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. Immortality doesn't wait, and neither do we.